loves overs. Nobody wants to bet on their favorite team to disappoint. Hello, guys. Welcome back to La Casa no Gana. The NFL season, it's coming. And today, we are not talking about spreads. We are not talking Sunday money lines. No, we are not talking player props. Today, we're doing long.
I'm gonna say, Fabi, not long, very long, because we are talking about bets that might take 5 months to cash.
That's right, Pau. Today we're talking NFL future, division winners, conference winners, win totals, and Super Bowl futures. And we're looking at of them through one question, Pau. Public money or sharp money?
Okay, because there's a huge difference, Fabi, between betting on a team you like and betting on a price you think is wrong.
Exactly, and that's the entire point of today's episode. We are not trying to figure out which teams are going to be good. No, everybody can do that. We are trying to figure out where the market might be wrong.
So let's get started with money versus sharp money. Fabi, let's define this first. So, what exactly do we mean by public money?
Okay, public money usually follows the teams everybody knows. The big quarterback, the biggest franchise, the teams that are constantly on television, the teams that have a huge fan base, and especially the teams with a strong narrative power.
Exactly, Fabi. You hear? Josh Allen is going to win MVP. Mahomes is going to make another run. These Ravens are loaded. Buffalo is winning the AFC. That's public thinking.
And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. That's important. The public money doesn't automatically mean bad money. No, it means the market. It's getting a lot of attention from reactional bettors. The problem is when the popularity of that team push the price too far.
Yes, Fabi, and that's where sharp money becomes interesting. A sharp bettor isn't necessarily asking, for example, who's the best team? Or they're asking, is this price wrong?
That's the difference. The public bets the team. The sharp bets the number. Now, segment number 2, game time, Pau. So let's make this fun, very fun. We are going to play a game. I gave you a futures bet, and you tell me, public money or sharp money? Are you ready, Pau?
Yes, I love it. Let's go. Venga.
Okay. And you're not allowed to overthink it, Pau.
Okay. It's dangerous, but that's okay.
Okay, exactly what I like it. Now, bet number 1. Bills over their win total. Buffalo Bills over the project win total. Public or sharp?
Public, Fabi.
Immediately, yes.
Immediately. And look at the profile. Josh Allen, a team that has been consistently competitive, a fan base that expects another playoff run, and the Bills are always part of the Super Bowl conversation. So that's exactly the kind of team recreational bettors want to back before the season starts, Fabi.
But here's the trap, Pau. Here's the trap.
Okay.
You might be right about Buffalo. But they might win 12 games. But if the market is already pricing them like a team for 12 win team, where your value?
That's the key, Fabi, because you don't get paid for predicting something obvious. You get paid for identifying when the price is wrong.
Okay, next one. Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North. Public or sharp?
I'm gonna say sharp, Fabi.
I'm with you. And why?
Because this isn't necessarily about Baltimore being one of the best teams in the NFL, but it's about the structure of the market. So you are betting against Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. That's it.
Okay, and that's why division futures can be interesting. You don't need the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. No, you don't need them to dominate even the AFC. You simply need them to finish first in their division.
Exactly, Fabi. And that's something better sometimes forget. A Super Bowl futures ticket can require you to be right multiple times. So a division ticket requires you to be right about one specific race.
I think the biggest mistake people make with futures is incredibly simple. They ask, do you think it's going to win? That's the wrong first question.
Yes, because the first question should be what's the price?
Let's make it simple. Let's say I think Team X has a 20% chance to win the Super Bowl. That means my fair price is around plus 400. If the sportbooks give me a plus 600, now we're talking.
Yes, Zoe, because plus 800 implies a probability of roughly 14.3%, more or less. If you believe the real probability is 20%, that's potentially valuable.
But what if they gave you plus 250?
Then I'm out, even if I think they are going to win.
That's the mentality. You can correctly predict the winner and still make a bad bet.
Yes, Fabi. So now let's talk about the Super Bowl futures. So this is probably the ultimate public money market. Everybody has a team, everybody has a prediction, everybody wants to have that one ticket sitting there for 5 months.
And the sportbooks know that for sure. That's why Super Bowl futures are fascinating. You have to ask yourself, are you betting the team? Or are you betting the price of the team?
For example, if a team is sitting around plus 600, that's a very different proposition from getting that same team at plus 1000 before the market move.
And this is where timing becomes critical because futures are not just about what you bet. They are about when you bet it.
Exactly, Bobby. If you believe a team's true price is going to shorten during training camp, preseason, or the first few weeks, you don't necessarily need to wait until everybody agrees with you. You want to get ahead of the market.
And that's one of the biggest difference between a casual bettor and somebody who thinks about futures seriously. The casual bettor waits for confirmation. That's what they do. The sharp bettor tries to anticipate the correction. Now let's get into one of my favorite futures market, win totals.
This is where people get emotional, Fabi. I love it.
Extremely emotional. This team is going 12-5. No way, they are going 8-9. That quarterback, it's elite. The coach, it's horrible, terrible. Everybody has an opinion, Pau.
Yes, but the sports book doesn't care about your opinion. That's the truth. So they give you a number, and that's the number you have to bet.
Let's say the total is 10.5 wins. The question isn't, are they a good team? No, the question is, do I believe they win 11 or more often enough to justify the price?
Exactly. And now we start looking at schedule strength of division, quarterback stability, offensive line, for example, injuries, coaching, schedule spots, and potentially even regressions.
That's where sharp analysis starts, not I watch their highlights.
Please don't bet a 6-month futures ticket because you watch a team's highlights.
Yes, that's the worst possible scouting department. Now, round 2, rapid fire, public or sharp, Pau?
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, public or sharp?
Public.
Absolutely, absolutely. Huge fan base, huge quarterback, huge media attention. Everybody knows the narrative. But again, that doesn't mean it's a bad bet. It means we need to ask whether the price is worth it. Now, Ravens to win the AFC North, public or sharp?
Sharp.
Agree. Potentially more attractive than simply betting Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. You can isolate the market you can actually want. Now, a team over 11.5 wins, public or sharp?
Public.
Specifically, if it's a popular team, the public loves overs. Nobody wants to bet on their favorite team to disappoint.
And that's one important psychological factor, Fabi. If you are a fan, you naturally want to believe the ceiling. Sharps are much more comfortable betting the floor.
Now, under 7.5 wins on a team everybody loves, public or sharp?
Potentially sharp.
That's the interesting one, yes, because a betting and under can feel horrible. Nobody wants to watch their favorite team lose.
But that's exactly why it can become interesting, Fabi. If the public is emotionally attached to the upside, the under might become the more attractive price.
Yes, now hear about this. A plus 5,000 Super Bowl long shot, public or sharp?
Ay, people will call it a sharp because it's a long shot, but that's not necessarily true.
Exactly, long shot doesn't equal value.
Yes, a plus 5,000 team might have a 3% chance of winning. That's not value. The price implies roughly 2%. Now, it's interesting.
Yes, that's the entire episode in one sentence. The bigger the number doesn't actually mean the better the bet.
Okay, so we are actually looking for futures value heading into the season. For me, division winners, Fabi. For you?
Same, yes. Same here because you're talking a team and narrowing down exactly what it needs to accomplish.
Then win totals, especially when we believe the public perception of a team is different from what the schedule actually tells us.
And finally, conference futures. Sometimes the Super Bowl markets, it's too expensive, but you might still believe a team has a strong chance of winning its conference.
And Fabi, if the price difference is big enough, that's where we start paying attention.
All right, last question. No analyzing, just tell me what you're watching. Best future markets.
Division winners.
Win totals.
I'm going to say conference futures.
And the most dangerous market?
Super Bowl long shots because everybody thinks they found the next Cinderella.
And your favorite mistake?
Betting a team because I like them.
All right, we're not done yet. We've been talking about public money. We've been talking about sharp money. We're talking about prices. We're talking about future portfolios. But now I want to flip the whole thing around because sometimes the best way to become a better bettor is learning what not to do.
Absolutely, Fabi. So let's do another game, sharp or public. But this time, we're going through the biggest mistakes bettors make.
I'll give you the scenario, you tell me sharp or public, and if it's either, we'll call it just bad betting.
Okay, I like that category.
Okay, mistake number 1, betting your favorite team. You grew up as a Bills fan. You love Josh Allen. You believe Buffalo is winning the Super Bowl. You see Buffalo at plus 1,000. You immediately put money on them, sharp or public.
Public, easy.
Exactly. And this is one of the hardest things to eliminate because you're not evaluating the team anymore. You're emotionally invested.
And the problem gets worse when you start defending your bet. So you don't want information. You want confirmation. So you see a positive article. See, I told you. You see a negative injury report. Doesn't matter. That's confirmation bias.
Exactly. A sharp bettor should be willing to say, I love this team, but I hate this price.
That's a massive difference, Fabi. You can love Buffalo as a football team and still hate Buffalo at plus 600.
Now, mistake number 2, chasing a loss. I mean, you lose $100 and you say, okay, I'm getting that back tonight. Then you put $300 on the next game, public or sharp.
Public and dangerous.
Exactly. Because now you're not betting based on probability, you're betting based on emotion again.
So your previous loss has absolutely nothing to do with the probability of your next bet. If you lost yesterday, the next game doesn't suddenly become more likely to win.
Yes, but people think, I need to make my money back. And suddenly $100 loss becomes a $300 lose, then a $1,000 lose.
And that's not bankroll management, Fabi. That's revenge betting.
And revenge betting is one of the fastest ways to destroy a bankroll. Now, mistake number 3, parlaying everything. You have 5 NFL futures you like. Instead of betting them individually, you parlay all 5, public or sharp.
Public, Fabi.
Wipe out.
Because the payout looks incredible, but that's a trap, you see? Plus 10,000 and suddenly you are thinking about what you are going to buy with the winnings. But you forget something. Every additional leg creates another opportunity to lose.
And with futures, it's even crazier. Imagine putting 5 teams into a Super Bowl parlay. You have months on uncertainty attached to every single leg.
And one bad season kills the entire ticket. So you kill. Pero, 3, 2. And one bad season kill the entire ticket. So you could have correctly identified 4 excellent positions, and one team wins everything.
The public asks, how much can I win?
And the sharp asks, how often does this actually hit?
Exactly. Mistake number 4, betting without shopping for the best number. You find a team at plus 700. You bet immediately. Then you discover another sportbook had plus 900. Sharp or public?
Public.
And painful, Pau.
Very painful because you didn't lose money immediately. You lost value.
Exactly, and this is one of the biggest mistakes because people don't feel it. You bet $100, nothing looks wrong, but somebody else gets plus 900. You're paying for the exact same outcome with a worse price.
And over a large sample size, that matters a lot.
So rule number 4, always shop the number, not just the sportbook, the number, okay? Mistake number 5, thinking a bigger odds number means value. This one is a classic. You see a team at plus 5,000 and you say, that's insane value. Sharp or public?
Public, Fabi.
Why?
Because high odds aren't automatically value. Let's say plus 500 or plus 5,000 implies approximately a 2% probability. If you think the team has a 1% chance, that's a terrible bet, even though plus 5,000 looks exciting.
Exactly. But if your model says 3%, now we have a conversation.
That's the difference. Value is the number is bigger than my estimate probability says it should be.
Pau, that's a sharp thinking. Congratulations. Mistake number 6, overacting to one game. Now, week 1, let's say week 1, a team lose 38-10. You immediately bet they're under for the season. Sharp or public?
I'm gonna say public, Fabi.
And wipe out.
Recency bias, one game becomes the entire narrative. Same thing in reverse. A team wins 45-10. Everybody suddenly thinks they are going 15-2.
Exactly. One game gives you information. Yes, that's true. But it doesn't necessarily redefine the entire probability distribution.
So you need context. Who did they play? Was the quarterback healthy? Turnovers, injuries, was the score misleading? What was the underlying performance?
Don't let one Sunday rewrite your entire preseason model. Now, mistake number 7, betting the narrative instead of the schedule. Here's another one. This team is stacked. You bet the over 11.5 wins. But then you actually look in their schedule and they have an absolutely brutal stretch. Sharp or public?
Public.
Exactly. And this is particularly dangerous with wins totals.
Yes, Fabi, because people evaluate teams instead of seasons. A team can be excellent and still go 9-8, for example.
Yes, exactly. You don't need to know whether they are good. You need to know whether they are good enough to beat the number.
Yes, so that's why schedule analysis matters. Not just who's the best team or maybe how many wins does this schedule realistically create.
Yes, mistake number 8, betting too many correlated futures. Let's say you love Baltimore, okay? You bet Ravens to win the AFC North, Ravens to win the AFC, Ravens to win the Super Bowl, Ravens over 10.5 wins. Public or sharp?
It sounds sharp, but it might actually be terrible portfolio management.
Exactly, because you're basically made one giant Baltimore bet.
And that's correlation. If Baltimore has a disastrous season, you don't lose one bet. You could lose 4.
And this is where people confuse having multiply ticket and diversification. 4 bets aren't diversified if they are all dependent on the same outcome.
Exactly. So you need to know what your actual exposure is.
Now, mistake number 9, moving the goal spot after you bet. This one is psychological. You bet team A at plus 800. 2 weeks later, they are plus 500 and you say, see, I knew they were going to be good, but then they lose the Super Bowl. Sharp or public?
Can I say neither? But here's the important part, Fabi. You need to evaluate the decision, not just the result.
Exactly. And if you got plus 800 and the market eventually moved to plus 500, that can be evidence that you got a good number. It doesn't guarantee you ticket wins.
That's why closing line value matters. A good bet can lose, a bad bet can win.
And that's one of the hardest lessons in sports betting. Stop judging every decision by the final score, okay? There is it. That's today's lesson. Don't ask, who do I think it's going to win? Ask, what does the market think they're worth?
Because public money, Fabi, bets with opinions.
Sharp money bets with numbers.
And futures.
They're all about getting the number right before everybody else does.
Yeah, so that's it for us, Fabi.
Well, see you next time.
And remember, La Casa no
Casa
gana.
no gana. We are waiting for you on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Discord platforms. And please register yourself on lacasanogana.com. Remember to subscribe, enter your entire information, and please verify yourself to collect all the money you're going to win in this NFL season. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.